Hey, how are you doing? I'm doing good. Yeah, it's good seeing you too. I have 6 p.m. I'll go ahead and start. Good evening and welcome to the City of Douglasville Planning Commission meeting. I am Francisco Artley, the chairman for the Planning Commission. The other members on the Planning Commission are Natalie Fegan, Keith Burnett, Nathan Zachary, Joy Bates, Ralph Benton, and Mark Van. The staff members are Patrice Williams, Community Development Director, Lynn Woodward, Staff Attorney, Ryan Anderson, Zoning Administrator, and Maya Jackson, Planner 1. There are a few protocol items I need to make you aware of before we start the meeting. Please listen closely on how tonight's meeting will be conducted. Keep your comments and presentation on a professional level, dealing with the facts that are important for this commission to make its decision. We will not accept comments that are considered by the chair to be a personal attack on any individual or group of individuals. You will receive a warning from the chair if you deviate from this requirement. A second deviation will result in a request for you to leave the meeting and the premises for the evening. Refrain from any applause or comments from the audience. Only one person will talk at a time, and all comments will be made at the podium after the speaker has been recognized by the chair. Please direct all comments to the chair and the commission, not to the audience or the staff. Please do not applaud or react to speakers. Speak from the audience, cheer, carry on a conversation with others in the audience, or disrupt the order of this meeting in any way. Beware that these hearings are not a debate or an opportunity to ask questions which must be answered by any individual tonight, but are merely an opportunity to present information to the commission. Other than the applicant, no person may speak more than once. The applicant may reserve part of their speaking time as a rebuttal and may speak next and last, and may use the entire 20 minutes allotted for the pro side of the application. Other than the applicant, no speaker may speak longer than 5 minutes. If you have a pager, cell phone, or any other electronic device, I ask that you either power them off or put them into silent mode. If anyone wishes to speak tonight, please fill out a form available on the table up front and hand it to the staff before approaching the podium. After each case is called, we will hear next from the Community Development Director, and they will hear from the applicant or their representative about what their plans are for the property, along with any other relevant information they wish to present. The commission members will be free to ask questions at any time before the vote on a project. Following the applicant, anyone who wishes to speak for or against the project or just ask questions will have an opportunity to do so. The city ordinance restricts each side to a maximum of 20 minutes, or time may be waived at the discretion of the presiding official. If questions are raised, we may ask the applicant to speak again. Afterward, we will call for a motion and a second, have any necessary discussion, and if the matter is not tabled, we will vote to recommend approval or deny the application. This commission is only a recommending body. The item will be heard by the mayor and council, whether we recommend approval or recommend denial. Unless tabled, these items will be heard by the city's mayor and council at their legislative meeting on Thursday, May 13th, and then voted upon by them at their meeting on the following Monday, May 17th. The first item on the agenda is to approve the minutes. Is there any discussion concerning them? Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second. Second.
All in, oh, here we go. Okay. All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Make sure you vote on your iPad. The minutes from the March 2nd meeting have been approved. The first case is item 20-158. Hold a public hearing and consider a request for a special land use permit for warehousing or indoor storage on property zoned LI, Light Industrial District, being approximately 24.282 acres at 1700 North River Road in Land Lot 173, District 1, Section 5, Tract D, BK41PG93. Application by Brian Cardoza, Roker Riverside LLC. The staff will now present the item.
The applicant is requesting a special land use permit within a light industrial district for development of a 207,400 square feet speculative warehouse building on property located within an existing building park. The subject property is part of a mixed-use character area, and the proposal is compatible with the future land use map of the city of Douglasville. The surrounding zoning, to the north you have light industrial, to the south of the subject property you have light industrial, to the east light industrial, and west light industrial. The Planning Commission is given the opportunity to consider the compatibility of the use with the surrounding uses to ensure consistency with the character of the area and to minimize impacts. And recommending approval for an application for a special land use permit, the Planning Commission may find, based upon evidence and testimony presented at the hearing, the following conditions have been met. The use of the property as a warehouse is allowable as a use by review in the light industrial zoning district. The use will not substantially modify the land use plan or the intent, purpose, or spirit of the code of the city of Douglasville. The use will not negatively impact surrounding properties. The special land use permit will not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare. All conditions have been met, and staff recommends approval of the special land use permit PS LUP 21-002.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the staff? Will the applicant come forward and state their name and address for the record? Tell us what you intend to do on this property.
Good evening, Brian Cardoza, representing Rooker Riverside LLC, 445 Bishop Street, Atlanta, Georgia, 30318. As you just heard in the presentation from staff, we are here requesting a special land use permit for a 24-acre site to build a 204,700 square foot spec warehouse. This sits within a 500-acre planned development that Rooker purchased back in 2013, and just over the years we've been phasing into the park. I thought if I could present to you all the visual as I give my brief presentation.
That's fine.
You could just kind of see where we're. This will just show you the location of the site within our park. Point here to show you the site in relation to Riverside Parkway here. That's Gordon Foods. So as I stated, the site is about 3/4 of a mile or so back into the park off of Riverside Parkway. We have been developing this project for quite a few years now, and I've been before this board and council quite a few times, and over that time we've heard the concerns from the citizens. And trucks is usually the main one that we hear. And we, after a previous application we had submitted last year, we heard pretty clear from them, can you identify non-warehouse developments for your park? Fast forward to today, I can say that we have done that. You may know by now, but we sold 160 acres to Microsoft for a data center. That's this property up in here. There's our site which we're proposing. So with that 160 acre sale, one that was done in December, one in February of this year, it takes 2 million square feet of warehousing off the market. And to kind of hit directly to the point, it takes trucks off. So we felt like now is a good time, after the recent sale to Microsoft, to present our request to build a spec warehouse. We feel like we've been a good partner to the community, and thankfully identified Microsoft and bringing a great corporate citizen to our park and to your community. And we are proposing a 205,000 square foot rear load, so the trucks would be parked in the back. It is off the main road, so not visible from the road. Originally, we proposed 225,000 square feet here, so a little bit bigger, but we've been able to scale it down a little more. It takes a few extra dock doors and trucks out of potential, but still works for us economically. So we present to you, this application for recommendation of approval. And with that, I'll be happy to answer questions.
Are there any questions from the board?
I have a quick question. You may not know this, but do you know any specs or whatever on the Microsoft facility at all? I mean, that's going to be pretty big, obviously.
Yeah, they have not shared that with us. It's going to be, I do know it's multi-phased, multiple years. All I do know is that they plan to start on the far left and make their way to the right.
Thank you.
And it will be multiple centers
How many acres was that?
that we sold to them, 160.
So we're talking about tract D for 24 acres.
That's
right?
correct.
And then Microsoft took
A and B.
A and B.
That's
Okay,
right.
so then that leaves C and E under your
Well,
ownership?
you see, E actually is not in the city, so we've revised that plat. But yes, it leaves C, and then this tract D, which is the Spec building.
And that's what's remaining.
That's correct.
And then tract C is currently light industrial, but not a SLUP.
That's correct.
Okay, and you're not here to talk about tract C, right? Just tract D.
That's what our application's for, yes.
Okay, just check.
Okay. Are there any other questions from the board? No. Thank you, sir. Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor of the project, ask questions, or make comments? Please come forward. Is there anyone who would like to speak other than in favor of this project? Please come forward and tell us your name and address. Okay. Do I have a motion regarding this application?
Yes, sir, I motion to approve.
All right, a motion has been made to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion on this matter? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? The motion passes and the application is approved. Thank you, sir. The next case is item 20-160. Hold a public hearing and consider a request for a change in zoning from R2 Single Family Residential Detachment to LI Light Industrial District for 14.54 acres on Westmoreland Plaza in Land Lot 903, District 18, Section 2, Parcel 5. Application by Euphoric Development, LLC. Staff will now present the item.
Okay, the applicant is requesting a rezoning from R2 Single Family Residential to LI Light Industrial for the development of a 170,000 square feet warehouse e-commerce distribution center. The preliminary site plan provided by the applicant shows a relatively small warehouse facility. The subject property is located within a mixed-use character area and is compatible with the city's land use plan. The surrounding land uses are to the north, PRD, Planned Residential Development City, to the east, light industrial, to the south, light industrial city, and to the west, residential low-density county. The applicants requested rezoning of the subject property to LI and the proposed warehouse development are consistent with the purpose and intent of the UDO. The subject property is compatible with the City of Douglasville future land use map and is located within a mixed-use design character area. LI is one of the recommended land uses of the mixed-use character area. The proposed use allows undeveloped large lot residential parcels that otherwise may never be developed for residential uses to be developed for a reasonable economic use. The suggested development will complement the surrounding light industrial uses to the south and west of the subject property. As a result, staff recommends approval.
Thank you, sir. Are there any questions for the staff? Okay. Will the applicant come forward and state their name and their address for the record? Tell us what you intend to do on this property.
Good evening. I'm Fred Bentley, Jr. I represent the applicant, Euphoric Development. I'm an old attorney from over in Marietta. It's great to be with y'all. I have been involved in the zoning arena for many, many years. I actually wrote Cobb County's zoning ordinance and been working on Paulding County, so I can appreciate the task. And thank y'all. I know it's a thankless job, and we appreciate the opportunity to be before you this evening. As it was mentioned, this is a 14.54 acre tract of land. It is bounded by I-20 on one side. You actually go through an industrial area to get to this particular piece of property. As I call it, it's sort of a salmon-colored set of buildings, if you had a chance to ride down there and see it. Mm-hmm. And it, again, is pretty much the preponderance of it. The property to the north is zoned R2, but there are no connections between that, and the facility that is proposed for this site is designed where it will meet the 100-foot buffer requirement. I do have a plat that I would like to present to y'all, as well as a picture of what it will look like. Would that be all right?
Yes, that's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
The proposed construction for the building is a tilt-up. You can see it's a very fine quality. This is for a Fortune 500 type company that would be used. Presently, it's in a spec mode, but they do have folks that are anxiously looking for, especially this size. 170,000 square feet, as your staff recognized, is on the smaller end of this. It actually lines up where it's very close to the interstate, which of course is a rarity. Usually y'all are looking for that, but in this instance, you were able to do that and then make use of that. There is a concurrent variance, although there is ample room for the additional parking. They're just not striped as it relates to the location of the parking because for flexibility for potential users. I mean, most folks aren't going to use 171 parking spots for this type of use. However, it's adaptable to that portion. The wonderful thing is you go to look at the plan itself, it actually buffers where any type of vehicles loading would be completely away from any residential and would be on the I-20 side of things. So it provides really almost a perfect setting for this type of use. Certainly as it relates to the area that surrounds it, and it is would bring, I know having worked for the last year and a half in Paulding County, they're trying to build their non-residential development so that the there won't be the burden on the taxpayers. And so this is one of those unique opportunities to add something like that. They are actively, folks are looking into it. They're excited about the opportunity to look at this and to locate in the Douglasville area. I will defer to any questions that you might have.
Are there any questions from the board?
I'm sorry.
I have a question.
Okay.
It was-
Yes, sir.
Fred, I didn't get your last name.
Bentley?
Bentley, thank you.
Yeah, I'm with Bentley, and Bentley, so.
Well, you're one of
And,
them.
I'm not quite as old as Joe Fowler.
Present company excluded. So will there be a road on the south side between this building and I-20?
Actually, it will just dead into the property because
Okay.
you see where Westmoreland Plaza is, it'll actually enter and then I think it lays out how the concrete area would be set up around the building.
So this will dead end for that road?
That is
right?
correct.
Okay. I think in previous concerns with other warehouses, that there was concerns about truck parking and backing up into the streets. So it looks like there'll be ample truck parking in the front, or the south, if you will.
That's correct, sir.
Okay, and how many dock doors did you say?
That, I'll have to get you the answer to that. I apologize, I don't know. I think that's probably going to be up to the design when they go to have a final user for them.
Okay, thank you.
But all of that loading would be on that side.
Got it.
Are there any other questions from the board?
Just one question for clarity. You said the loading side would be the side facing I-20?
That's correct. So it would be on that back side. It would not, there would be nothing occurring on the opposite side. That would just be a buffer area and/or maybe a small road if there's the necessity for fire service. But there will be an undisturbed buffer that will be in place.
I think my concern when I looked at this was the buffer of the warehouse from I-20 and those right there where the housing areas are. To put a warehouse, if that's something they're going to have to look at on their porch, if the green space that I guess is what's going to be left, or is that warehouse going to take pretty much all of it? Because
No, sir. There will be the 100-foot buffer to the residential folks, and then, of course, on the far side for the county people, there would, again, be a buffer in place on that side as well. So it would, anything that would be seen as it relates to trucks or truck-type vehicles would be from the I-20 side, and of course, you can't cut those trees that are sitting on the DOT's property or the federal
Right.
highways property.
right.
So, Fred, you said there's a tree line buffer on the north side of this that would bump up against the residential?
Well, there's a 100-foot buffer that is in place there,
Okay.
which meets or exceeds virtually anywhere, and I think that certainly meets y'all's requirements.
So then really, would no vehicles wouldn't be going on the north side then? They pretty much all stay on the
Unless
south?
there was a fire truck that needed to somehow get around and you'd have a small road that might be required just for that purpose. But there is no intention to use any of that area for anything to do with this warehouse. There's ample room for the trucks to turn around, and that, all of that would be buffered by the building itself.
Are there any other questions from the board?
One quick question, and it's a 170,000 square foot
Yeah,
warehouse?
it started as
Okay.
185,000, and they've downsized it 15,000 square feet.
Thank you.
And Fred, it does look like there's a concept meeting that should be held with the authority regarding the state waters that are present on the property?
That's correct, and that will certainly occur before any construction would occur.
Okay.
They've looked at that issue, and they believe everything is fine in terms of dealing with that particular issue, in terms of not disturbing more than the requisite amount.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions? All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor of the project, ask questions, or make other comments? Please come forward and tell us your name and address. All right. Is there anyone who would like to speak other than in favor of this project? Please come forward and tell us your name and address. Do we have anybody online, or?
We do have one caller on the line. If you are able to hear us and you would like to speak on this item, you can unmute yourself and begin speaking.
No.
Nothing.
Okay. Do I have a motion regarding this application?
I'll make a motion that we approve the application.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. Is there any further discussion needed? Whoops, my iPad went off here, just a second. All right, make sure you push this that you seconded. Who seconded? Mr. Zachary, you did?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, sir. All in favor of this motion signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed?
Okay.
All right. The motion passes and the application is approved. Thank you, sir. Okay. The next item is the, excuse me there, is to hold a public hearing and consider request for change in zoning from OIC Office Institutional with Conditions County to GC General Commercial District City for 1.67 acres at 800 Maxham Road in Land Lot 522, District 18, Section 2, Parcel 3, application by our Picatumar Patel. Staff will now present the item.
The applicant is requesting a rezone from Office Institutional Conditional County to General Commercial City for development of a liquor store. This application is part of an annexation. If the annexation is successful, the subject parcel will become part of a regional activities center character area and will be compatible with the city's land use plan. The subject property was originally dedicated for a fire station. The surrounding land uses, to the north you have PUD County, south PUD County, east light industrial city, and to the west you got PUD County. Rezoning this land from OIC County to GC City will adequately address new or changing conditions in the area. There are GC-type land uses in the vicinity of the subject property along the Thornton Road corridor. PUD zoning is located to the north and south of the subject property. PUD is a mixed-use zoning district. The immediate areas surrounding the subject property are mostly light industrial. The proposed rezoning would be in line with existing developments in the surrounding area. The proposed amendment is practical from a zoning standpoint, and thereby the staff recommends approval.
Thank you, sir. Are there any questions for the staff? Okay. Will the applicant come forward and state their name and address for the record? Tell us what you intend to do on this property.
Evening, everyone. Joe Fowler, Post Office Box 489 in Douglasville. Let me introduce Mr. Arpit Patel, which is the way I refer to him. He's the applicant on this zoning request. He has some other businesses in the community. As you heard, this is an application for the annexation and rezoning of this 1.671 acre parcel. It's at 800 Maxham Road, land lot 522 of the 18th and 2nd. That's the southwest corner of Skyview and Maxham. And the purpose of the rezoning, as you heard, is for the construction of a building of 8,750 square feet for alcohol sales. On the second page of the staff analysis, there's an interesting picture. Looks like it was taken perhaps from a drone, but it's a sky view that shows where this property lies, surrounded by industrial buildings. Let me just point out a few things about that. The property is currently owned by Daniel Tooman, who is a local doctor, who purchased the property December the 19th, 2007 from the Douglas County Board of Commissioners. The county had been deeded that property in 1999 by Industrial Developments International, also known as IDI. Everybody's familiar with that company. They've built 25 industrial buildings in Douglas County, but they started in this area of West Fork. IDI donated that 1.6 plus acres to the county for, as Ryan mentioned a moment ago, for the purpose of constructing a fire station. The county later decided to put it at a different location. You may know that fire station's at 7217 South Sweetwater Road in Lithia, just up from the Ace Hardware. But since 2007, when Dr. Tooman bought the property, it's been available for sale, but absolutely no activity at all. Just quickly, as I mentioned on that photo, it's bounded on the north across Skyview by an industrial building of 312,000 square feet on 19 acres. On the east by an industrial building of 380,000 square feet on 34 acres. On the south by an industrial building of 284,000 square feet on 15 acres. And on the west by an industrial building of 222,000 square feet on 11.5 acres. In fact, I counted within a quarter of a mile of this 1.6 acre parcel, there are a total of 11 industrial buildings, counting the 4 that I just mentioned. And then there's another industrial building that the city approved 2 doors down on. It's going to be 180,000 square feet, sort of like the one that you just recommended approval. As the staff noted, the property is sitting there not suitable for an O&I use and certainly not suitable for an industrial use. So as a result, the staff recommended approval, finding that, and I'm quoting, the rezoning of the property to general commercial will not have an adverse impact on the area. In fact, the staff noted that the parcel will be an enhancement to the area. Mr. Patel is available to answer any questions you may have, and we appreciate your consideration and approval. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Arnold.
Arpit Patel.
How are you doing, sir?
Good. How are you, sir?
Fine. Is there anything you'd like to say beforehand, or?
He's said it, everything.
All right. Are there any questions from the board for Mr. Patel? I think my concern was, what do you plan on doing with this 1.67 acres? I know you said you want to make it general commercial district, but what do you plan on putting there?
Package store.
A package store?
Yes, sir.
Right. I thought I saw that there, and I just, because when I read through, it had said that nothing had been designated for it in the paperwork, but then as I got further in the paperwork, it said a package store, and it had the picture of the package stores that were near it, because I know Thornton Package is less than a mile from this place.
It is.
Would be proposed, so I think that was my concern too,
The requirements is they have to be 2,500 feet away, so it meets all the requirements.
Right. So I know they do meet that requirement. So it is a package store that you intend to put there.
Yes, sir.
Are there any other questions from the board? Ms. Fegan, do you have any questions?
Yeah, wait, how far did you say it was from the other package store?
It's about 0.8 of a mile. That's what Google Maps said,
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
0.8. All right, if there's no other questions, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor of this project, ask questions, or make other comments? Please come forward and tell us your name and address. Is there anyone who would like to speak other than in favor of this project? Please come forward and tell us your name and address. All right. If there is no further discussion, do I have a motion regarding this application?
I'll make a motion to approve the application.
All right, a motion has been made to approve. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Aye. Make sure you record it on your iPad. We are missing two.
Ms. Fegan, what was your vote?
I voted in favor. I can't register it on my iPad, so.
Oh, there it is. There. The motion passes and the application is approved. Thank you, sir. The next case, give me a second here. Oh, there it is. The next case is item 20-161. Hold a public hearing and change in zoning from commercial heavy county to general commercial district city for 1.17 acres at 991 Thornton Road in land lot 582, District 18, Section 2, Parcel 2. Application by Ashish Patel? Ashish Patel. Thank you, sir. Staff will now present the item.
Okay. The applicant is requesting a rezone from CH County, Commercial Heavy County to GC City for the development of a liquor store. This application is part of a requested annexation. If the annexation is successful, the subject property will become part of a regional activity center character area and would thus be compatible with the city's land use map. The surrounding land uses are to the north, General Commercial County, General Commercial City to the south, and to the east, Planned Unit Development County, and to the west, General Commercial County. The rezoning of this land from CH County to GC will adequately address new or changing conditions in the area. Excuse me. There are GC-type uses in the vicinity of the subject property. The immediate areas surrounding the subject property are GC and heavy commercial. and this proposed rezoning will be in line with the existing developments. The character of the existing area is mostly commercial, and the proposed project will be an expansion of similar land uses. The proposed amendment is practical from a zoning standpoint, and thereby staff recommends approval.
Are there any questions for the staff? Will the applicant come forward and state their name and address for the record? Tell us what you intend to do on this property.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ashish Patel, and I reside at 5922 Hogan's Way, Douglasville, Georgia. I am a resident of Douglasville, and we have several businesses in Douglasville. And we're petitioning to annex the property into the city of Douglasville from the county. Currently, it's zoned heavy commercial, and the requested zoning is general commercial, which is kind of in line with the existing zoning right now with the county. We intend to develop a liquor store, just like the previous applicant. But the distance between our liquor store, our property, and the previous property is, I believe, it's almost a mile. And even the existing liquor store that's there right now, it's even, this property is further than the previous applicant that had proposed on the previous property. We currently own this property, and we intend to develop it. We were originally going to wait a couple of years before we develop it, but we decided to go ahead and move forward with the liquor store development.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any questions from the board?
I have a quick question.
I have a question.
You go ahead, Phil.
Go ahead.
Is this right next to Burger King?
Yes, sir.
Okay. It's just a vacant lot right now.
It is vacant.
That's the vacant one just before you get on the interstate, right? As you're
Yes.
on the,
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Van, do you have a
Well,
question?
I mean, I was basically going to ask the same thing. Like, there's really nothing, there's really nothing on the lot currently, correct? It's just,
No, I believe 15 to 20 years back, there used to be a Chevron station. And it was
Right.
demolished about 10 years back.
okay.
It's next to Burger King, across the street from the rental car place.
That's right.
Right. Are there any other questions? I think my concern was, the one that we just talked about is about .8, because I was Google mapping them, and it's actually 1.4 miles from Thornton Road. So I think within a mile and a half, 3 liquor stores. But that's my concern. I know the land, I've seen that land. I was glad when they tore down the gas station. I always believed just leave grass there if you're not going to put something that is, that looks good, or just tear down the old building. But are there any other questions?
What size of, building or whatever you kind of thinking about? Have you guys got that far?
We're intending to do maybe a 14,000 square feet building.
So do we know how far this one is in relation to the previous?
It's about .8,
It's less than a mile from the previous
Yeah.
applicant?
yeah.
So the way distance is measured for liquor stores, it won't actually be by taking the road. It'll be a straight
As the
line
crow
between the
flies.
two, so it's
Yeah.
about 3,000 feet. 3,775 feet.
So a little over half a mile.
Half a mile, okay.
I have a question. So there's also a request to have the property annexed into the city?
Yes.
That's correct.
And why is that?
Because it's outside the city limits right now. Currently, it's in the county.
So why can't it stay there?
I think the county has a law where you can't sell alcoholic beverages.
So we would be bucking the county's law?
Not exactly. They will be coming into the city and become part of the city. Once they become part of the city, they would have to adhere to city law.
If it were to become part of the city?
If the annexation, only the city council can vote on annexations. The planning commission doesn't have any discretion over annexations. If mayor council approves the annexation request, then the property will become part of the city of Douglasville, and then it would have to adhere to the city of Douglasville laws. But it
So shouldn't we wait for that first?
that's not how the process works.
Oh, okay.
Are there any other questions? Thank you, sir. Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor of the project, ask questions, or make other comments? Please come forward and tell us your name and address. Is there anyone who would like to speak other than in favor of this project? Please come forward and tell us your name and address. If there is no further discussion, do I have a motion regarding this application? Do I have a motion regarding this application?
I'll make a motion to deny.
All right.
A second.
All right, there is a motion to deny and a second. All those in favor of the motion to deny signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed?
Nay.
Clarify, for those who are voting for the motion, you would need to click for. So I'm going to resend the votes just so we can put the right votes in.
For the motion to deny.
Yes.
So if you're for the motion to deny, you deny, and if you're against. So all those in favor of voting for the motion signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
The motion passes and the application has been denied. Thank you, sir. The next case is item 20-293. Hold a public hearing and consider a request for a change in zoning from General Commercial District and PRD Planned Residential Development District to PRD Planned Residential Development District for 6.04 acres on Durley Lane in Land Lot 50, District 1, Section 5, Parcel 72 and 120. Application by P.J. Hornick, Southport Financial Real Estate, LLC. Staff will now present the item.
Okay, the applicant proposes an affordable retirement community for seniors aged 55 and up. The property is currently undeveloped and surrounded by commercial, light industrial, and multifamily residential. The applicant is proposing a 119-unit residential development that consists of one 3-story multifamily apartment building. The subject property is part of a community activity center character area, and the proposed project is compatible with the City of Douglasville land use map. The city's UDO states that the intent of the PRD zoning designation is to protect and promote a suitable environment for family life and to encourage flexibility in meeting the needs of families by providing high-density apartments dwelling with a minimum development site of 2 acres. The proposed development does introduce a high-density development at around 19.6 units per acre into an area that could be considered economically challenged. The project can spur an increase in new residential development near and around the downtown target area and serve as a catalyst for additional complementary commercial development. As a result of this, staff recommends approval.
Thank you, sir. Will the applicant come forward and state their name and address for the record? Tell us what you intend to do on this property.
Hi, I'm PJ with Southport, 5403 Gray Street, Tampa, Florida. All right. Well, thank you for having me. It's good to be back again with our updated rezoning request for the proposed senior multifamily development at Durley Lane. This evening, I'm going to introduce Southport as the developer and long-term owner of this proposed development, talk a little bit about our previous developments, the specific site location and why it's ideally situated for this project, discuss a little bit about the development concept updates that we've made since last July when we came before, and then conclude and open up for questions. Southport is an experienced developer and operator of multifamily real estate. Our principal, J. David Page, has been in real estate since 1974, established Southport in 1995, and since have integrated into development, construction, and property management. We have national presence throughout the country with headquarters in Tampa, Florida, where we run the East Coast operation, and Tacoma, Washington, where we run the West. We have over 200 properties, 20,000 units in 20 states, several in Georgia, including Dalton, Athens, St. Mary's, and Tifton. A few of the projects currently underway are illustrated here. Some of the comparables to this development: we have Pembroke Tower currently in the planning stages in South Florida, which is 88 units senior. Laburnum Gardens we completed last year outside Tampa, which is a family property. Brookstone in Tallahassee, 108 units, new construction, and Burlington Senior in downtown St. Pete, which was 82 units senior. So a little bit about the site location. As you can see, it's a mixed-use node, urban infill, suburban infill, perfectly located with nearby amenities. You've got Walgreens, the pharmacy on the corner of 92 and Durley. You've got Kroger on Hospital Drive. And then most importantly, Woody Fight Senior Center, just located to the south of the property, and the transit hub across the street. So this is our previous concept that was approved last year. This is on the main parcel, the approximate 5-acre site for 98 units, a density of just under 20 units an acre. Single building, 3-story concept, elevator served. Unit types 1 bedroom and 2, 750 square feet and 1,050 square feet, brick and plank exterior, and pitch shingle roofs. So through this process, we have assembled the adjacent property, which is currently zoned commercial, where there's a single-family residence that was built in the early 60s, that both the city and us as the developer have agreed that the property and the block is really enhanced by incorporating that site into the overall development. So we've worked out that with that separate owner and have come together with this assembled concept. So this is 119 units, similar density, just under 20 units an acre, and a very similar concept, just a little bit bigger, to essentially replace that house with part of our development. So to conclude, the proposed development really enhances the block. It's a perfect location for the senior multifamily use, and we really look forward to moving forward with this over the next year. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the board? Now, I've one on the, where it ends, is it also, I guess that old, was it daycare or whatever? Is that going away, or is it going to be right next door to it?
That's still north of the property.
That's still north of, okay,
That's still there.
all right. And this is predominantly senior living, you're saying?
Yep, 55 and up.
Does this include assisted or just over age
Independent
limit?
living.
Or I'm sorry?
Independent living, so it's 55 and up. It is for
55 and up,
seniors, but there's not nursing or medical staff on site.
Is it subsidized at all?
The plan is for tax credit subsidy in the development costs.
Are there any other questions?
Yeah, just a quick question about the house. I'm glad that house is something, so you guys worked out a deal and that's going to be incorporated into this? So is that just going to be leveled or what?
Yes, correct. So that's just a separate parcel, so we're assembling the parcel to make it one larger tract.
Right.
And then that house would be demolished as part of the redevelopment.
Gotcha. So it just looks like the property has a, it kicks out right there. I wasn't sure if that's where the house used to be or what.
Exactly. So that was the previous plan, which had that notch out of the parcel.
Right.
Oh,
I'm so sorry.
With the revised plan, that notch goes away.
Thank
and then
you.
we
Forgive me.
Shift north.
Gotcha.
So I do think it enhances the overall development parcel as well as the block.
All right. Are there any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor of the project, ask questions, or make other comments? Please come forward and tell us your name and address. Okay. Is there anyone who would like to speak other than in favor of this project? Please come forward, tell us your name and address. Do we have anybody online? Nope. Okay. If there is no further discussion, do I have a motion regarding this application?
I'll make a motion that it be approved.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Make sure you vote on your iPad. The motion passes and the application is approved. Thank you, sir. The next case is item 20-206. Hold a public hearing and consider a request for PUD, Plan Unit Development District, to PRD, Plan Residential Development District, for 3.74 acres on Douglas Boulevard in Land Lot 14, District 1, Section 5, parcels 14, 15, and 16. Application by Thompson Gooding, Park Terrace Communities, LLC. The staff will now present the item.
The applicant is requesting to rezone 3.74 acres located on Douglas Boulevard from PUD to PRD to develop a 72-unit workforce housing multifamily development with 114 parking spaces. The subject property is part of a regional activity center, and the surrounding land uses is surrounded on all four sides by PUD Plan Unit Development. The subject property is on Plan Unit Development. The proposed development is inconsistent with the intent of the comprehensive plan. The proposed project may conflict with one of the goals of the 2024 Comprehensive Plan to provide improvements around the Arbor Place Mall by providing a thriving commercial component around the mall, as the proposal excludes a commercial aspect. The proposed project does not adequately address changing conditions of the area. The area is in need of a vital injection of new commercial businesses. Additional residents to the area would only be a good proposition for the mall if this was part of the existing PUD zoning designation by the way of a mixed-use development. Staff is not adamantly opposed to development of a multifamily development at the proposed location. Staff feels that additional density is needed to help facilitate the redevelopment of the Arbor Place Mall area. However, the major concern is that by approving the rezoning of the property from PUD to PRD in close proximity of the mall area might have an adverse impact on property values and hamper future mixed-use developments in the mall area. Successful mall redevelopment plans are usually highlighted by mixed-use zoning districts, such as the recently adopted redevelopment plan for the Cumberland Mall in Cobb County. In closing, a multifamily development at the proposed site under the current PUD zoning classification will be the best and highest use of the property. Staff recommends denial of the requested zoning from PUD to PRD.
Thank you, sir. Are there any questions for the staff? Will the applicant come forward and state their name and address for the record? Tell us what you intend to do on this property.
Good evening. My name is Thompson Gooding, 1214 Hickory Drive, Valdosta, Georgia. Commission members, staff, thank you for the opportunity to come here tonight. As staff mentioned, we're proposing, requesting a rezoning from 3.74 acres in 4 different parcels adjacent to Arbor Place Mall from PUD to PRD. This location map shows what we're talking about. I'm sure everyone's familiar with Arbor Place. Coming in a little closer, you see that we're just to the west of the mall. Can everyone hear me all right? Outside the mall loop, but certainly fronting upon it, among a mix of existing commercial businesses and Arbor Station neighborhood to the rear, to the south and west. Most of the portions of the neighborhood that abut this property are already small multifamily, 2 to 4 units. I think there are a few single families, but mostly smaller multifamily in there. This is an aerial of the subject site. It's an odd-shaped site. Our vision for this, as I said, is to rezone from PUD to PRD. The goal here, in keeping with national trends of mall redevelopment, is to create a mixed-use node. Major activity centers such as this don't happen just on 3.74 acres. They happen over 20 acres, the overall mall site. The plight of modern suburban shopping malls is well known nationwide, and Arbor Place, although it does have a lot going on, is really no different. I mean, Sears is shuttered. You see some of the other existing commercial around the area unoccupied. This property itself has been zoned PUD since the mall was built, and obviously nothing has come in yet. So we agree with staff's comments that this would not create a mixed-use development on these 3.74 acres, but I would encourage the commission to consider the larger surroundings as well. We've personally been involved with a similar plan for redevelopment of a mall in Brunswick, Georgia. Staff, either in the report just now or in previous conversations, has referenced Cumberland Mall in Marietta and Smyrna. In both cases, and other mall redevelopments, mixed-use redevelopments that we've seen, these things are typically done on separate parcels anyways, as are a lot of the commercial out there. So I would encourage you not to just put blinders on and be focused on this particular parcel, but let's look at the overall activity center. We want to complement the existing multifamily in the area. As I mentioned, there are small apartment buildings to the west and south in the Arbor Station neighborhood of 2 to 4 units. There's an existing townhome development on Lakewood Drive, again in that same neighborhood. And the city approved just last year a rezoning for townhomes from PUD to PRD, the exact same situation here, just on the other side of the mall, to the southeast of the mall. We also hope that this will serve as a transition from the large-scale commercial of the mall with the neighborhood. Further into the neighborhood, you have single-family homes. As you get closer to this site, you have the 2 to 4 unit multifamily. This is not a 200-unit development. This is 72 units, and we feel that's an appropriate transition with the mall. We've also been very thoughtful about targeting the rents in this property towards the jobs in the area, and I'll speak to that a little bit more later. I'd also like to address 2 challenges that are noted in the comprehensive plan. One is directing development to areas with existing infrastructure to support future growth. We've worked with the Water and Sewer Department here to confirm that there is adequate water and sewer infrastructure. The loop mall around the road is 4 lanes. We are just a very short drive, a matter of a couple hundred feet to Douglas Boulevard, which is 5 lanes. You have Bill Arp to the west. You have another major thoroughfare on the other side of the mall. Plenty of infrastructure here to support this development. The comprehensive plan also notes that the city wants to encourage improvements around the mall and its infrastructure to maintain a thriving commercial center, again, creating this larger node. Commercial businesses, certainly retail, don't always support other retail, but what does? Households. So by bringing in additional households to support this mall, we hope to really bring up those property values. In speaking with the mall owners, they are very excited about this project. They wouldn't have signed off on the rezoning if they weren't. They were a bit taken aback or perhaps surprised to see staff's comment that this would decrease property values because from the commercial perspective, additional rooftops mean additional business, additional value. Thinking about the neighborhood behind us, and we've tried to do that a lot. The Harvard Joint Center for Housing Studies has done extensive research that shows proximity to multifamily does not decrease property values. We have reached out to both the council member for this district and the HOA, had a very good conversation with Councilman Miller, incorporated some of his feedback on the project. We have presented plans for this to the HOA president and have attempted to follow up, but have not received any comments back on that. But what I expressed to the HOA was that we want to work with you. We want to be a good neighbor. Our initial thought was that the neighborhood would want to not be connected to this development. So although part of their street system runs through an easement on this property, we are proposing a privacy fence through there and no connection. Again, if the neighborhood decides they want that, we're more than happy to entertain that, but felt that they would prefer the privacy. Getting into a few more details about the project, we're proposing 72 total units, 12 one-bedroom, 36 two-bedroom, 24 three-bedroom. This will be a true mixed-income community with approximately 35% of the units at market rate rent, and the remaining 65 is targeted specifically to be affordable to the local workforce. That's actual jobs in and around the mall, which again, I'll talk to you later. Of course, we will provide parking and landscaping as required by code. The architecture, I'll provide some examples from a very similar previous project that this team has worked on in a moment, but this is part of our discussion with Councilman Miller, who I understand is an architect himself. This project will achieve a green building certification, likely Earthcraft, which promotes not only sustainability but durability, so that this will be a quality product long term. And will provide amenities appropriate for the target market. Currently, we're contemplating a playground, which you see, we'll see in a minute, a fitness center and computer center, which you won't see because those will be in the clubhouse, but providing good quality amenities in a good quality product in what we believe is a great location. This is our site plan. It's been updated slightly from the original rezoning application. We're filling in some of the details like trees and things. You see the roadway to the right of the page that I mentioned that runs through the adjacent neighborhood, and if you can see it, we've got a little privacy fence marked out. It's a little difficult to see in this view. Here in the perspective view, you can see it a little bit better. We have also, again, in hopes of minimizing any impact to the neighborhood, arranged for the parking to be towards the center so that the neighbors don't see a giant sea of parking. There's certainly plenty of that already out there at the mall. This is sample architecture from a previous project. We are in partnership with Marion Development Group out of Louisville, Kentucky on this project, and this is a project that they have actually built in Louisville as well. We discussed more modern urban architecture with Councilman Miller or the option of doing more garden style, and he felt that this would be more appropriate, and we were more than happy to incorporate that. The benefits of this project: it provides citizens with new quality affordable housing options. As I mentioned earlier, we want to bring new households in to support the revitalization of the mall and the continued success of the mall. It develops an infill site that's not been attractive to the market with current zoning. So you've heard a bit tonight about being responsive to changing conditions. I don't know that I can say it's a changing condition, but the conditions as they are now do not promote development of this parcel. So we're proposing a change to that effect to get it developed. One of the things that Councilman Miller challenged us on was to think about not only the needs of the mall today, but the needs of the mall 10 years down the road. Especially with everything going on in the world and retail and malls, who knows what 10 years down the road will look like. But the market rate units give us the flexibility to address that. If this area becomes much more high in demand, the rents will rise, and we can support those who want to live and or work around the mall. I mentioned the incomes. We did a survey of actual job listings in and around Douglasville with a special focus on jobs at or near the mall. So you see a lot of retail on here to that effect. We've set the max eligible income at what these households could afford without being rent overburdened, which is generally spending no more than 30% of their income on rent, and that's true for both market rate and affordable product. We've set the minimum eligible income based on the minimum income that tenants have to live in this property. This project will be supported by housing tax credits, but there will be no rental subsidy on the project. Tenants have to have documented income to support the rent. The rent, however, is held artificially low so that members of the workforce like this can afford it. So you see a wide range of incomes between the minimum and the maximum, and I've included a few that are below the minimum income because you may have a two-income household. If you've got someone that works at the salon and someone that works at Kids World, their combined income would be right within the target band for this development. So before I turn it over to questions, I wanted to touch on a couple of the concerns that have been raised because they are valid and we appreciate staff's thoughtful consideration of this request. No one has used the phrase, but some of the concerns seem to be centered on spot zoning. Spot zoning, as you may well know, occurs when you drop an unrelated zoning district into a large area of a different district. So if we were coming to you saying we wanted to do 3.74 acres of multifamily in the middle of an industrial park, that would be spot zoning, and we can all agree that would be a bad idea. This is planned development in the middle of planned development. We talked about looking beyond just the 3.74 acres to see that this is really a mixed-use development across 20, 30, 50 acres, however you want to define that. There is precedent already for multifamily. As I mentioned, there's precedent from recent zoning action just last year for PRD. And the other definition or the other part of the definition that's commonly tied to spot zoning is inconsistency with the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan shows desire to support the mall. It shows desire to encourage development in areas with existing infrastructure, which we talked about earlier. Property values I spoke on as well. The mall sees this as a way to increase their property values. Harvard says that apartments don't decrease property values near single-family homes. So we hope that you will see through this presentation that this is well thought out. We've tried to incorporate input from the community. We really want this to be an asset and not something that the city views as a negative. With that, any questions for me?
Thank you, sir. Is there any questions from the board?
I have one question. So you're seeking to have this rezoned for PRD?
Yes, sir.
And what is your objection for the PUD?
The PUD district, as I understand it, requires a commercial component within that 3.74 acres. And as I said, adding more commercial there may not be the best thing. It also limits development to, I believe, 4 units per acre, which would not really be feasible here, just given the cost of developing the site. And because this is adjacent to the mall, it's not cheap land. So we do need to get a certain amount of density to make it financially feasible. And I think staff, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but spoke to the benefit of having density around the mall.
All right. Are there any other
I
questions?
have a question. Did you say that the mall saw this as a way of increasing their property value?
Yes, ma'am. They see the additional rooftops and therefore the additional disposable income as a way to support the businesses in and around the mall. And they were, again, I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth, but in our discussion, they were questioning staff's evaluation that this would decrease property values and saw it as a way to really bring more vibrancy to the mall, increase business there, increase the demand in and around the mall, and therefore raise their property values.
Okay, I guess I would assume that staff is meaning not the mall's property value, but the residents around the mall.
Yes, that's correct.
Yes,
Okay.
and that's something we hear commonly, but again, I'll point to a study by the Harvard Joint Center for Housing Studies, which has proven that that's not the case.
Are there any other questions from the board? No. Sir?
Go ahead. Well, I just, I'm trying to, that was a great presentation, by the way. I'm perplexed because, you know, staff doesn't have a recommendation for this, so that makes me nervous. So, you know, from years of experience on doing this kind of thing, you know, it is a nice transition between the commercial district that's there and the single family that's behind it. It's true. You know, my personal opinion is that I agree with you about rooftops. I don't know about rental rooftops. I get that there's a Harvard study, but I'd rather see other kind of rooftops. But, you know, I know that's an odd piece of property and something's got to go there. And it's already zoned PUD. So, how many rental units is that going to be again? What did you say,
72.
72, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Because you said what was the breakdown again, sir? You said?
I got
one
12
rooms?
one-bedroom, 36 two-bedroom, and 24 three-bedroom.
That's correct, 12, 36, and 24.
Yeah. Yeah, that's dense.
Yes, and you know, we appreciate staff's thoughtful consideration, and we're also a bit discouraged by the recommendation to deny. But most of staff's objections centered around having mixed use on these 3.74 acres. And that's where, again, I would consider you to consider the larger area. And this is a large shopping mall.
So their main entrance and exit, you're saying, is going to be between the Discount Tire or on the backside of Discount Tire and that other building? Unless they cut through Buffalo Wild Wings.
It's interesting the way the roadways lay out. And again,
Right.
these are existing roadways. The main entrance, which runs off of Douglas Boulevard, off of the Mall Loop Road.
Right.
Would run past our leasing center, so most of the traffic would come that way. The roads that you see that come around the Discount Tire Center there, those are already existing. Those would be overflow. Typically, fire marshals like to see 2 points of entrance and exit. To the extent that point right here. Yeah, so these roads are already in place, I believe. You can see where I'm highlighting. We have no problem with those going away. I think half of the roadway is an easement on the adjacent property and half is on our property, so that's not entirely up to us. But that, again, most cities and fire marshals like to see 2 entrances and exits, so we kind of went with that.
Are there any other questions?
Question for staff. I saw it in the proposal somewhere, but this proposal was relating to some of the other things that were approved recently, especially the Reservoir Drive. I know that was a totally different development, but do you recall, was that 10 per acre? 11 per acre? No,
It's around 11,
townhomes. I get that, but it was 11 per acre, correct?
close to 11, yes, sir.
Okay, that's what I thought.
What's the maximum
Yeah.
PRD district?
Yeah, of course, it's like,
Two-car garage. That's what I was
Yes, sir.
thinking here.
Mr. Zachary. Or was
Yes.
it?
I did have one other question, just looking at your diagram, and I know you spoke to the privacy fence, but how much space is that going to be between the community that's right behind it? You know,
I believe we blocked out either a 25 or 30-foot setback.
30 feet.
All right, sir, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor of the project, ask questions, or make other comments? Please come forward and tell us your name and address. Is there anyone who would like to speak other than in favor of this project? Please come forward and tell us your name and address.
Good evening, and thank you for allowing me to be here tonight and speak. I am a resident of
Your
Arbor
name, sir?
Station. I'm sorry, Mark Pittman. I'm a resident of Arbor Station. I'm also a board member. I'm not here to represent the board tonight. I'm here to represent myself and the other families who have talked to me about this. You've got 3 to 4 story buildings that are going 35 feet behind residents' houses. So that's what our residents will be looking at in their backyard. I wouldn't want to be there. I don't know about y'all. Right now, they say they've got the fence up that's going to keep the traffic from coming through our neighborhood. We've got 750 homes in our neighborhood. If they open that up and then the mall uses it also for ease to get back and forth through, which we get all the time now. We as a neighborhood are proud of our neighborhood. We actually pay to keep all the landscaping done, the city property and ours. We have trash companies that come in and we pay as a community to keep our neighborhood clean. You're talking about 72 rental properties which cannot raise the value of my home. I don't think there's any study that would prove that otherwise, although the gentleman said there is. The other development is not rental properties that you approved last year. They are townhomes which people own, take pride in. Not that people who live in apartments, I've lived in apartments, don't take pride in their place, but it's more of a transient type of living instead of someone being in their home. There's plenty of apartments in Douglasville, in Douglas County, and we don't see the need to have one 30 feet in our backyard. Thank you for listening to me tonight, and y'all have a good evening.
Question,
Thank you,
sir?
Sir,
Yes, I'm sorry.
we have a question.
For the record, did you state your address, please?
9715 Squirrelwood Run.
Okay, and you said you represent the HOA of the
I
neighborhood?
am not representing them tonight. I'm here tonight for myself. I am on the board there. I've been on the board there for many years. We have a great community.
And did you say that the applicant met with the neighborhood association?
That I do not know.
The applicant said that he met with the,
Sure.
We have not met with the HOA. We've reached out to the HOA president and followed up several times in hopes of setting a meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
thank you, Mr. Pitt.
Thank you. Y'all have a good evening.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak other than in favor of this project? All right. Are there any further discussion needed? Do I have a motion regarding this application?
I'll make a motion to deny, please.
All right. Second. Is there a second? Thank you. There has been a motion made to deny it. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? The motion passes and the application is denied. Thank you, sir. The next case is item 20-183. Consider a request for a proposed ordinance to adopt a new City of Douglasville zoning map application by the City of Douglasville. Will staff present the item?
The item before you all was referred to the Planning Commission from the Mayor and Council on April 15th and April 19th. The attachment is the new City of Douglasville zoning map, so it includes all of the changes that you all, as well as the Mayor and Council, have approved within the past year. So numbers 1 through 40 are different zoning actions that have taken place and need to be updated on the zoning map.
Okay. Are there any questions for the staff?
So this is really just like housekeeping?
Yep.
I just had one question. This covers up to what date? Just all of, to the end of 2020, or?
So this would be from the beginning of 2020 all the way up until now.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you.
So since the city is the applicant, you're basically,
We're going through the process.
Any questions for Maya?
yeah, is there any questions from the board or anybody else in the room have any discussions? All right. Do I have a motion regarding this application?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
I'm telling you.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? So the motion passes. The next case is item 20-218. Consider a request for a proposed ordinance to amend subsection 2.02.c of the Unified Development Ordinance to allow breweries as a permanent use in the Central Business District and as a special use in the RMP Regional Marketplace and GC General Commercial Districts, application by the city. Will the staff now present the item?
This item was also referred to you all by the Mayor and Council. They referred it to you all February 15th. So it's a text amendment that will amend the provisions related to breweries and malt beverage productions. It will allow malt beverage manufacturing in CBD and some other zoning districts, as well as light industrial and heavy industrial.
Okay. Are there any questions from the board? So basically, when they change this, that means that any people will be now allowed to come before and ask for a brewery.
Correct. So in some zoning districts, it will be allowed by right, so they won't have to come before you all to do that. They'll just be able to apply for a business license. Of course, they'll still have to get an alcohol license, but they won't need a special land use permit in some zoning districts.
Okay. Are there any other questions from the board? All right. Do I have a motion regarding this application?
I'll make a motion to approve item 21-218.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. The motion passes and the application is approved. Thank you. Are there any other house items we need to take care of?
Your next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, June 1st. We do have about, 17 items for our next round of council meetings, 17 for council, so not for you all, which is the 13th and the 17th. These items will be moved forward, will go forward. And of course, we hear variances and the council hears annexations as well. So that's how we go from 8 items to 17 items. So they're really excited to see us next week. But as always, if you have any questions, please reach out to Ryan, Maya, or myself. We really enjoy working with you all. Sorry to have you out here in this weather tonight, but please be safe as we travel all back to our homes.
Question, we have a new member?
Well, I think you, yeah, right, oh, right here?
Yeah.
Yes, you do. She actually was approved last night, Miss Joy Bates Ponder,
Yes.
or just Miss Bates. Yeah, she had to leave early, so unfortunately she wasn't able to stick around, but she's actually representing the north side with Mr. Benton.
You said June 1st,
June 1st.
June 1st is our next meeting.
right after Memorial Day?
That's correct. You know, it's kind of a standing calendar.
I'm just making sure. Yeah.
Yes, we only make changes as it relates to if the council has to make a change to their calendar. So they have to make a change in September due to Labor Day. So we're off a day. I think we meet on the Wednesday in September, and then we may make a change if it's a presidential election, which like we did last year. And we're also going to keep in mind, I know we have members now with younger children. So we probably won't meet next year in April, just like we didn't meet this year in April, but we'll make it official. But we always have our calendar ready for the upcoming year by the end of the year, so you'll see it in time. Maybe we can get it approved, get you all to look at it prior to the actual adoption of the calendars, but we're going to take that in consideration next year.
The school calendar for next year? You said you're going to take that into consideration?
Spring break,
Okay, gotcha.
yeah. Okay, all right, well, thank you so much.
Thank you. If there is no further business, we close this meeting. Thank you for coming.